Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our program this evening. Folks, we were supposed to be on the air an hour ago. Unfortunately, an hour ago, Windows decided to do an update and knocked me off the computer completely, and I just got everything back to where it was before I got knocked off the internet. I apologize for that. Windows is not supposed to do that. It's only supposed to take control of the computer to do updates after midnight. I can't believe we did this again. This is not the first time Windows has pulled stupid things on us like this. I want to welcome everybody who has joined us here. We have quite a few people here on the program tonight. We're going to get started with the program. Folks, I want to tell you this right up front to start with. Yesterday, the Earth got hit by solar flares. A lot of solar flares, a lot of solar plasma energy hit the Earth. For the next 3 days, we're going to get hit with plasma radiation. We're going to see auroras all around the United States and around the world. According to NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, it's telling us that all 50 states are going to see auroras. If you have clear weather outside, very few clouds at all, you will see auroras in all 50 states. That is the latest from NOAA. If you want to have more information, I urge you after this program to go over to Wages World on YouTube. Mark Wages did a program late last night about this. I want to welcome him to the program as soon as we possibly can get him on the air with us. But again, Wages World is covering this. Okay? Mark Wages does an excellent job. I highly advise everybody to go over to his channel and show his channel some love. Subscribe to his channel and also watch last night's program. There's a lot of information there. Please go over there and watch that tonight. That's important. You'll find out a lot of important information about solar flares, X-class flares, and also solar radiation. Mark is an expert. Mark is an expert. Please do that. This is very much important. Okay? All of us will be affected by the solar radiation. Okay? Human bodies, animals, everything will be affected. Our bodies are 75% water. Our bodies will absorb some of this energy. It can affect our mental attitudes, our attitudes, how we affect or interact with other people and our animals at home as well. It's going to affect everybody. Okay? Please do this. It's very important you know what's going on. That's why we're talking about it tonight. Now, besides that, I want to talk to you about Ernesto. Ernesto is a storm that's building strength, possibly even hurricane strength. This is the cone of uncertainty with Ernesto. Right now, it's just south of Puerto Rico. Just barely south of Puerto Rico. Let me show you another slide here. It will give you a good idea of what is going to be happening with Ernesto. For a second, I wasn't sure whether this slide was going to appear. Fortunately, I don't think we're going to have any more problems with I hope we're not going to have any more problems anyway with the internet here. I'm starting to wonder. I'm really starting to wonder. Anyway, let me enlarge this photograph, this slide from NOAA that's going to talk about the arrival times of Ernesto. Now, I want to make one thing perfectly clear here. Okay? This is not going to hit the shores of the U.S., the mainland USA or Canada. Okay? But I'm going to explain how all of us are going to be affected by this storm. Okay? Right now, this storm is already affecting Puerto Rico. It's off the coast, off the southeast coast of Puerto Rico. It's been down in the Lesser Antilles Islands. Okay? Down in the Lesser Antilles Islands. It has now moved up and is affecting the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. It's going to be hitting the shores of Puerto Rico as right now. Okay? The outer bands of this storm are going to hit the shores of Puerto Rico right now. As of Wednesday, this storm will also affect the eastern shores of the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas. As the storm moves north, we're going to see the seas swell. There's going to be a storm surge with this storm. The storm surge will specifically affect Bahamas, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. But that is almost the least of our problems. As the storm winds up and goes up into the mid-Atlantic Ocean, we're also not just going to see storm surge. The waves are going to be bouncing all over the smithereens, all over the East Coast. Now, I saw a video earlier from NOAA, and I thought I had it here ready to show you. Let me just take a quick look here. I guess I don't have it keyed up. It was from NOAA and a seismologist talking about this storm. It's going to have great big huge wind waves coming off the middle of the ocean. These wind waves will be affecting the east coast of North America. We're going to see higher seas. We're going to see rip currents. Now, as I talked about with Tropical Storm Debbie, yes, there's going to be storm surge, but these rip currents will have higher seas. And I'm going to tell everyone right now, if you're not an experienced surfer, if you've never experienced waves in the ocean on the West Coast or Hawaii, do not go near the ocean, at least for this week. Do not go anywhere near the Atlantic Ocean this week. If you get caught in a rip current, this rip current could carry you out to sea and you'll die. The only thing that might happen that might be in your favor is if you swim parallel to shore. If you're swimming parallel to shore, you might be able to swim out of the rip current. However, with these kinds of waves that will be hitting the Atlantic shores of North America, U.S. and Canada this week, you might be swept out to sea nonetheless. I'm putting the warning out right now. As I explained last week when we were talking about Tropical Storm Debbie, I have had experience with high waves in San Diego. I know what it's like. I am not a professional surfer, but I know what high waves are like right now and what they can do to you. I want to make it perfectly clear right now. Do not go out into this storm on the Atlantic Ocean. Don't go out and surf at all. Okay? This is not going to be good for anybody. I just want to make sure all of you know what I'm talking about. I've seen this, done it. I'm putting out the warning right now. Don't go out onto the Atlantic Ocean this week. I don't care whether you're in Florida, over in Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic. I don't care whether you're in Bermuda or the Bahamas. Don't do it. Don't do it if you're in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Don't do it if you're out in Virginia as well. I don't care if you're in New York, Connecticut, Boston, or wherever. Don't do it. Stay out of the water. all the way up into Canada, stay out of the water. Do not go surfing. Okay? Do not go surfing. This is for your own good. This is for your safety, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. I'm warning you. This would not be good at all. Okay? I've seen storms before. We're all going to see many storms between now and the end of hurricane season in November. We may even see storms after that. But I'm putting the warning level out right now. Don't do it. Okay? Please, don't do it. I want to show you another slide here. This is Tropical Storm Ernesto. This is the rainfall amounts. Now, this storm, not this storm. I'm going to bring this slide back into perspective because I used the enlargement of this slide with the last slide I showed you. So you're not getting a full perspective right now on this, what we're showing you right now. This is the rainfall amounts from Ernesto. Again, this is out in the ocean right now. The center of the storm will continue to be out in the middle of the Atlantic. However, these are the rainfall amounts for this storm. Be advised. Please be advised. This is not going to be a safe storm. I don't care where you are or what you are doing. This will not be a safe storm to do anything in. If you're out to sea in a ship, you're going to experience wind waves. You're going to experience large amounts of rainfall. Even as this storm progresses, you're going to see the outer bands of this hurricane, and it will become a hurricane. You're going to see the outer bands of this hurricane reach out and touch you on the shorelines of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Bermuda, Bahama, Florida, Georgia, South and North Carolina, Virginia, New York, Connecticut, Washington, D.C., New Jersey, Massachusetts, and points north up into Canada. Okay? The light green. In the light green areas, you're going to experience 1 to 2 feet of 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. 1 to 2 inches of rainfall minimum. Minimum. These are minimum numbers. If you're in the dark green areas, those dark green areas will experience 2 to 4 inches of rain. If you will be in the yellow areas, you're going to experience 4 to 6 inches of rain. If you're in the brown tan area, you're going to experience 6 to 8 inches of rain. If you're in the orange area, you're going to see 8 to 12 inches of rain. If you're in the red area, you're going to likely experience 12 to 16 inches of rain. 12 to 16 inches of rain. Now, you might say, why are we even discussing this, since it's not going to hit shore? Like I said, the outer bands of this hurricane, and it will be a hurricane by the time it gets up past Puerto Rico. It might be a hurricane when it reaches Puerto Rico tonight. Okay, this storm is going to be a powerful storm. I'm only giving you the information because I want to save your lives. Okay? This is important. This is vital information. This is vital information. If you are anywhere and young and you like to go surfing and such, stay out of the ocean. If you are not young and you're in your 20s and 30s, notify your children to stay out of the ocean. If you have high schoolers and college students, stay out of the ocean. Stay away from the shorelines. Like I said, there is going to be storm surge. As the outer bands of this storm reach out and touch you, you will see wind waves and storms. You may also see winds of upwards of 35 to 45 miles per hour by the time this storm reaches the United States. Okay? Now, you're not going to see that red area. Okay? Annette is asking, we can't see the red area, zoom back out. You're not going to see the red area at all right now. Okay? It doesn't show it. NOAA didn't give it to us. Annette, Louise, Walker, we cannot zoom out. NOAA did not give us that information. It's not on this slide. It's not on any of the slides that they've issued us. I am just giving you this information. As we move forward, we may see the red areas come into play. Okay? Be aware of this. You need to know this. This is going to be vital to everyone's safety. Again, if you're anywhere on the East Coast, and I'm talking about anybody, from down in Puerto Rico, through the Bermuda area, through the Bahama area, all the way up into Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina area, going up the coast of the United States into Virginia, Washington, D.C., New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, everywhere up east, you need to be aware of this. As we proceed through the rest of this week, by Wednesday we should have a greater idea of where this storm is. Again, let me show you the cone of uncertainty here. Okay? Just so you know. Let me enlarge the slide again here. As we get over to Wednesday at 8 a.m., the center of this storm will be out into the ocean. It will have already passed Puerto Rico. By Wednesday, it will be out over the Bermuda area. By Wednesday into Thursday, you're going to see this storm up into not just Bermuda, but the Bahama area as well. By Thursday evening, this storm will be out in the middle of the ocean. However, now you're going to see this storm reach over and touch Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina by Friday morning. Again, we're going to see high wind waves. You're going to see winds in proportion to the storm. The outer bands of the storm will reach out and touch you. You may see some rainfall with the storm. That's why I'm putting out this warning now. You may see some rain bands, and it's not going to be nice. We saw some of this with Debbie last week. That's why I'm talking to you about it now. That's exactly why I'm talking to you about it now. Into Friday morning, again, we're going to see a lot of weather coming into North Carolina, going into Virginia, and points north. Like I said, Virginia, by Friday evening, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Washington, D.C., and points north. You guys are going to feel this. By Saturday, Pennsylvania is also going to see this. Okay? I want to make it very clear. This is important. Okay? Now, Demon Catman put out a message, and I'm going to just repeat it for everybody here. Mods can use CAPS for information, emergency information, to get Ron's attention to use the chat. Emergency Management Associates, okay? Please do not use all caps anybody else. Mods can use it to get my attention, but that's all. Okay? Does everybody understand what we're talking about with Ernesto? I want to make sure we get this out and everybody's clear with it. This is a very important storm, and it's going to be a big one. It's down in the Caribbean area now. As it reaches out, it's going to gain strength, a lot of strength. This could maybe even turn into a Category 3, Category 4, maybe even a Category 5 storm. That's why this is important. Okay? I don't want to underestimate this storm. Yes, it's out to shore. It's offshore, I should say. It's not going, the center of the storm is not going to hit land, except maybe the outer islands out here in the ocean. It's not going to hit mainland U.S. or Canada. However, as the storm moves forward, going northbound into the Atlantic, things can still happen. That's why I'm talking about this. I want to make it very clear of what's happening. Okay? I'm not a meteorologist. I talk to meteorologists all the time. I gather information from NOAA and the meteorologists. And I will be passing this information on further as we get into this week. Okay? Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Okay? Martin Deloach says, are you sure it's not? Yes. At this point in time, we can say it's not going to hit land except for the islands. Except for the islands. As it passes over those islands out to sea, it may lose a little bit of strength passing over the land mass. However, because it's just an island, it's not going to lose much strength. But right now, it's not going to hit shore. It's not going to hit the mainland United States. If that changes, I will pass it on. Yes, things could change. Yes, things could change. Look how close it is to Florida, though. Look how close it is to Georgia. That's why we're concerned. Wind waves do occur. Outer bands of hurricanes can reach out and destroy. I'm being very poignant here. I'm trying to get the word out to warn everybody. We're trying to save lives by being on the air. That's why we are Emergency Management Associates. Heidi Petrick just gave us a $10 super chat. Heidi, thank you so much. I gave you an Emergency Management Associates sticker. I also gave you a thumbs up. You got 4 thumbs up with that super chat. Heidi, thank you so much. God bless you for that. Does anybody have any questions about this storm so far? I want to make sure we've answered all your questions. I spent about 4 hours today pulling information and talking to my meteorologist friends at NOAA and also my friends over in Florida and over here in Charlotte. One of my friends is a weather forecaster for WCNC TV in Charlotte. And he's very good with what he does. He's the chief meteorologist for the channel. Linda Covington's asking, storm coming? Question. Like you see here. Like you see here in this slide. This is Hurricane Ernesto. Right now it's just a tiny, well it's not tiny, but it's a small tropical storm now reaching over into Puerto Rico. But this thing is going to be a full-blown hurricane by the time it goes out here from the Caribbean Sea out here into the Atlantic Ocean. It's going to be a big storm. Catherine Sigerson said she got an international call today that said her name, this is an alert. She has no idea, but the party just hung up. I've never had that happen yet. I've never had that happen yet. Does anybody have any questions? Arnold Smith says 50 is his check-in number. Thank you very much, Arnold. We appreciate you being here. It means a lot to us knowing you're here. Okay, nobody has any more questions. Okay, that was my biggest thing with this storm today that I wanted to talk about. I've got quite a few other things to talk about tonight. Okay? Now, my dear wife Carol and I went to the post office today. We received 2 pieces of mail today. We received 2 letters, 2 cards. I want to share those cards with you. Okay? The first letter was from Ms. Jane from Goshen, Indiana. She sent us a letter and card here. Okay? A beautiful card. She says, thinking of you here. Thinking of you. Just a beautiful card. I love it. Just want to send a little note your way in hopes it will brighten your day. She sent us a donation as well. Thank you so much, Jane. We dearly appreciate that. We really, really appreciate that. My second card came from S. Nort. S. Nort is a very dear friend of ours and has been for many years. She sent us a card and some pictures here. S. Nort is from Indiana as well. Okay. Wonderful thing. She sent us a bunch of postcards. Okay. She sent us a bunch of postcards with trains. And I love this. I love this. She sent us a card and a letter here. We really appreciate that, Susan. God bless you for that. She sent us some cards with trains. You all know how much I love trains. Okay? I just love trains. Here's another steam locomotive here. Here's one from Knott's Berry Farm in Anaheim, California. This is a long time ago. Back in the 70s, friends of mine and I drove up to Los Angeles to visit Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland. At that time, they had this train there at Knott's Berry Farm. I don't know if it's there any longer. Okay? We got quite a few cards from Susan in Indiana. Here's another one. I just love trains. Now this is a cute thing. This is a cute one. Look at this. Alligator Express. When was the last time you saw an alligator that long? That's funny. All the way from Florida. How about this steam locomotive here? These are going to go up on my wall. Behind me you see quite a few cards that I've gotten from people over the years. I've got a train right behind me on a postcard that I was sent by our friend Laura. I love trains. Here's another one from 1697, Los Animas Canyon, Colorado. Look at this. Can you see the train there? Climbing the mountains in southern Colorado. Actually, this is southwestern Colorado, near the Animas River in southwestern Colorado. That's cool. How about this one? This one is the Orange Blossom Special going through orange groves in Florida. 1950s into the 60s. Okay? How about this last one? This is a cool one. 100th anniversary, Lakewood, New Jersey. An old steam locomotive coming out of New Jersey. Always full of activity. The depot was located at the southeast corner of 2nd and Monmouth. It sprayed both passengers and freight trains or excuse me, it didn't spray. It served both passenger and freight trains until 1953 and was demolished shortly after this picture was taken. Lakewood was the principal stop on the route of the famous Blue Comet train, which made its last run on September 28th, 1941. This is cool. Susan, thank you so much for these beautiful train cards. I treasure them. I appreciate Susan's donation as well. God bless both of you ladies for helping us out here and keeping us on the air. It's great. It's really great. Don Patokas is here in the chat. I didn't see him on the chat. I was too busy showing you these pictures here. He says Salt Lake City is now having a storm with 50-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail for the next hour. Back after the fun. Don, thank you for trying to get in here. Yes, please take care of yourself over there. Please be safe. I have family there too. God bless our children over there in Utah. We have children in Sandy, West Jordan. We have children in West Valley, Utah, and upwards north of Salt Lake in, I can't even remember the name of the town, up near Brigham City, Utah. We have family all over. I have family literally everywhere. I've got cousins and aunts and uncles, but I have my children primarily in the Salt Lake City area and south of Salt Lake as well. I have a brother down in St. George. He is not getting this storm right now, but he may get it later. But please be safe, everybody, if you're in the Salt Lake area with that terrible storm. And if it's 50-mile-an-hour winds, it's going to be a mean storm. So take care. Please take care of yourself. Okay. Richard Smith says he just got kicked by an ad. I did too. Now, I don't know why it's kicking me. Okay? I'm the producer of this show. I'm getting kicked by these ads as well. It's terrible. It didn't start like this until just recently, during the last 2 to 3 weeks. Since then, it's been terrible, literally. I don't know why YouTube is doing it, except maybe during this election season, they want to make some money. So they're nailing us. And if that's the case, it's too bad. It's a sad day when YouTube has to be pulling this kind of crap. And that's what it is. It's crap. Okay, I found that video for you. I'm going to play that video from NOAA here, from the NOAA meteorologist here. I want you to see this about Ernesto. So hang in there for a second. Again, this is from NOAA, the National Hurricane
Welcome back,
Center.
everybody, with the 5 p.m. update on Tropical Storm Ernesto. And if we look at the latest information at 5 o'clock, wind speed still 60 miles per hour, so still a decent tropical storm. Pressure's down a little bit, 1,001 millibars, moving off to the west-northwest, 18 miles per hour. Millibars moving off to the west-northwest, 18 miles per hour. But more importantly than this is going to be the hazards that are going to unfold over the next couple hours and that have been unfolding over the Leeward Islands here in the form of wind. These wind squalls are coming through, producing very heavy winds and rain. So conditions are improving in Guadeloupe as Ernesto moves away, and will soon start improving in Antigua and Barbuda. But for those of you in the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, conditions are going to go downhill rapidly over the next several hours. And certainly by sunset, conditions are going to be pretty rough in the Virgin Islands. And then for Puerto Rico, now, at first glance at this cone, it looks like, and you're going to want to think, well, it's going to pass off to the north. And I've dodged a bullet in Puerto Rico. But that's not the case, because you're still going to have tropical storm force winds in these outer rain bands wrapping around. And speaking of these outer rain bands, the potential for significant heavy rain falling even well outside the cone exists. And that's why we have a flood watch in effect for Puerto Rico. Now, what does a flood watch mean? That doesn't mean that the flooding has yet started, but conditions are conducive for flooding to happen in Puerto Rico tonight. So, bottom line, if you're listening to us from Puerto Rico, not a good night to be driving. So let's go home and stay put the rest of the night and avoid these treacherous driving conditions. One more water-based hazard to talk about: rip currents. Rip currents are going to be one of the big stories of this storm, not only for the main area being impacted here in Puerto Rico, where you can see rip current risk is high, but also even along the east coast of the United States. Now, why is that going to be the case? Because as Ernesto pulls out into the open waters of the western Atlantic, it will strengthen significantly, potentially becoming a powerful hurricane. And what you see here behind me is the wave field, the waves, the ocean waves that will be generated by those strong winds. These brighter colors here indicate ocean waves of over 40 feet in height. All of this energy will start to propagate towards the east coast of the United States later in the work week, and especially on the weekend, which is going to greatly enhance the risk of rip currents for the weekend. So if you're headed to the beach this weekend along the east coast of the United States, please make sure to check the beach conditions. If you don't know, ask a lifeguard. Always swim near a lifeguard if possible. That's it for us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates, and as always, you can get the latest information from Hurricanes.gov.
Okay, you got that. Okay, he did mention those wind waves. He mentioned rip currents, hazardous conditions, and that slide there shows you the outer bands of that hurricane hitting landfall. The outer bands of that hurricane hitting the East Coast. And it's going to be felt as well up into Canada. It will be felt more up into Canada as well. So be careful. Be very careful. Mart Loach is also saying don't forget Texas. This hurricane will have nothing to do with Texas. However, going forward during the next few months, we probably will see at least a few storms going into the Gulf of Mexico. And with that, we're going to have hurricanes, tropical storms, heavy seas out into the Gulf of Mexico, and we may see these hurricanes hitting over in Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Texas. Everybody needs to be preparing. I don't care where you live. You need to be preparing. You need to be prepared. Food, water, medicine. Food, water, and medicine. Don't forget that. You need to have a first aid kit. You need to have an emergency plan. We keep talking about it. I keep beating you over the head about emergency plans. You need to write an emergency plan. It needs to be done now, if not sooner, immediately. You need to have an emergency plan. You also need to have an emergency kit. You cannot do anything without an emergency kit either. You need to have a plan. Whether you're going to shelter in place in your home or whether you're going to bug out to a different location. And we've talked about this before, and we're going to talk about it again and again and again until everybody gets the idea and you do something about it. You need to do those things. You need to do those things. This is absolutely mandatory for you. Okay? I'm hoping we don't have to mention this again. However, it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are earthquakes. Earthquakes. We talk about earthquakes all the time. All the time. I'm going over to talk about earthquakes at volcanoes. At volcanoes. Now this one is at Mount Lassen. This seismogram is at Mount Lassen. Now I want to enlarge this so you'll see what I'm talking about. This seismogram was recorded by the seismograph, which is a machine. It started off at midnight this morning. Midnight, 12 a.m. this morning. And you can see it counting down here. Each individual line is 15 minutes long. Each individual line is 15 minutes long. Okay? We had a tremor that happened at approximately I want to say about 1:10 this morning. Just a tremor. Another one after 2:30, probably 2:31, 2:32 this morning. Now, the tremors turn into earthquakes. You see a lot of vertical lines without dots. The vertical lines here without dots are steam signatures. Steam signatures. Mount Lassen is steaming. We're also seeing these vertical lines with curlicues. The vertical lines with curlicues are also steam signatures. Mount Lassen, if you see Mount Lassen today, you're going to see steam coming from the summit of the volcano. Each individual line here, you're seeing magma coming into the volcano as well. It's called magma pulse signals. Magma P-U-L-S-E signals. Okay? The thicker the line, the more magma is coming into the volcano. And with magma coming into the volcano, you see other vertical lines coming from those thicker lines. Those are either tremors and or earthquakes. If they're long vertical lines coming from the thick lines, these are earthquakes. These are earthquakes. If they're vertical lines with a dot in them, they're earthquakes. Okay? Look what happens throughout the day today. We come into 12 o'clock noon. You see these vertical lines getting thicker here. And you're also seeing tremors here. You're seeing magma blobs with tremors, vertical lines. As we go through the day, look what happens. 15:30 hours is 3:30 this afternoon. Look at all that magma coming into Mount Lassen. Okay? Look at that. This is a lot of magma. This is a ton of magma, guys. Yes, we're seeing some earthquakes and tremors here at Mount Lassen. You're also seeing all this steam being released by the volcano. Now, I'm going to take this seismogram down for just a minute. I will show you another seismogram in just a minute. But I want to show you what we're talking about. At the top of every volcano, there's a huge volcanic rock that was left over from the time of the last eruption. In this case, 1917. A great big huge lava rock plug at the top of the volcano. Throughout the years, that plug has experienced a lot of jarring from the magma beneath it. The magma beneath it is hitting it just like this. Bam, bam, bam. And every time that magma pulses into that lava rock, into that plug, it actually fractures that plug. Didn't mean to do that. Holes develop inside and in that plug. The holes eventually go all the way through the big plug. That plug releases the steam from the magma. 6% of magma is water. 6 to 7% of magma is water. As this magma beneath that plug shatters that rock, tiny holes develop. Those holes get larger. As those holes get larger, the steam escapes from the magma. The steam escapes from the magma. What happens when that steam escapes through those holes? It's a simple physics lesson. The hotter the steam, larger the holes become. The hotter the steam, larger holes become. Heat enlarges everything. Heat enlarges everything. Even the rock plug of the volcano. At some point in time, as the rock plug in the volcano becomes so porous with holes and so brittle at some point the plug of the volcano explodes, which causes an eruption. From magma beneath inside the volcano, it blows out that plug and outside of the volcano. We have a volcanic eruption. Right now you're seeing steam being released from the volcano. There are so many earthquakes happening at Mount Lassen. The scientists are concerned that Mount Lassen could also erupt. They are very concerned that Mount Lassen could erupt. Okay, I want to just put the warning out there. I want to put that warning out right now. That was the seismograph LDB. Seismograph LDB. This is seismogram LDH. LDH. It comes from the same volcano, but this time it's a different seismograph. LDH here. Let me enlarge this so I can show you what's going on. Again, each line here represents a 15-minute time period. The thicker the lines, the more magma that's coming into the volcano here. Again, this seismogram starts recording information at midnight last night, 12 a.m. this morning. Okay? Now you're seeing these dots and dashes here on these lines. This is not normal. This is not normal. Normal is horizontal lines that are stable. Solid horizontal lines. That's not what we're seeing here. But what we're seeing here is still valid. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the volcano. And you're also seeing these lines being interrupted by earthquakes. Rock fracturing from the magma coming into the volcano. Rock fracturing causing earthquakes. Earth movement. You're seeing that here. You saw it on the last seismogram. Look what happens here. More and more magma here. More and more magma. We're seeing more and more magma as the morning goes on. Late morning, after 11 o'clock, you're seeing these thicker lines here. You're also seeing vertical lines going through those lines, and those vertical lines are tremors here. For the most part, they're just tremors. Small vertical lines, tremors. As the magma comes into the volcano and fractures the rock inside the volcanic chamber, we're seeing these tremors. These tremors can also become earthquakes. Okay? This is important to understand. Okay? Again, this is a different seismogram than we showed you a few minutes ago. There are approximately 10 different seismographs around the volcanoes. But in this case, at Lassen and Mount Shasta, there are only like 2 or 3 seismographs that are doing anything good. All the rest of the seismographs are not either not putting out information at all, or they're putting out false data, which is called abstract. Putting out data doesn't mean anything. Abstract data. Okay? Now I think I have one more here at Mount Lassen. Yes, I do. This is seismograph LME. Seismograph LME recorded this. Look at this. Again, this starts off at 12 midnight last night, early this morning. You're seeing tremors here. You're also seeing thin lines here. That's why you're only seeing tremors, not much magma coming in. The magma you're seeing coming in is causing these small tremors. Look what happens when we get over here to 6:30 this morning. Those tremors become earthquakes. These tremors become earthquakes. And large earthquakes. 2.5, 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. Some of these earthquakes become 3.0 earthquakes. The red lines here that are generated by the computer to get the seismologist attendant say, hey, seismologist, look at this. We need to keep an eye on it. Okay? Demon Catman says Heather does live closer to Shasta, but is also near Lassen. Exactly. We're going to talk about Shasta in just a minute. But I want to show you this. This is important. This is very, very important. Okay? Mount Lassen could erupt. At one point 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it looked like Shasta was going to erupt. But right now, that's not what the seismograph is showing us. The seismogram is only showing us tremors at Mount Shasta and very light earthquakes. This is Mount Lassen. This is a different animal. Mount Lassen last erupted in 1917. I was going to say 2017, but that's a misnomer. That's a misstatement. Okay? It's going to happen. I promise you, it's going to happen. It's a matter of time. Now, guys, if you'll excuse me for just a second, I'm having to leave you guys here for just a moment, but I will be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry I was even taking that long. I was hoping it wouldn't take that long at all. Let me come back here, right here. I'm back. I'm back. Anyway, guys, this is interesting. Okay? Yesterday I showed you what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. I showed you what's going on in Canada as well. Or not Canada, California. Okay? I appreciate all of you here. I'm sorry I had to take that break really quick. Since you're here with me, the majority of you have been with me for 5.5 years. Some a little bit less than that. For those of you that were with me 5.5 years ago, I've come a long ways. About 2.5 years ago, I had cancer. And with that cancer, I've had radiation to overcome the cancer. And yes, I'm now cancer free. But ever since that radiation, it screwed up my body. And all of a sudden, when certain things happen, I have to take a break. And unfortunately, that's what happened again. I'm trying to regulate this, but occasionally it gets out of hand. And that's what's happened tonight and last night. And I'm very sorry to have to take breaks. I did not mean to be doing that. Okay? I didn't mean to be doing that at all. Anyway, getting back here. Let's go back here and look at the seismogram from Mount Shasta now. I'm going to pull it from Mount Shasta. This is Mount Lassen here. Again, we're seeing earthquakes and we're seeing tremors as well. Those big blobs in the blue there are magma coming into the magma chamber. Big blobs of magma. Okay? Yes, some of those lines are thicker, some of them are thinner. Blobs of magma coming into Mount Lassen here. Okay? And actually, guys, you guys are my friends and family. I would ask prayers for myself to be able to get by this. Okay? I'm cancer free right now. I'm considered completely healed. It's been 2.5 years. I had my last checkup just 2 weeks ago, and the doctor said I was cancer free, which is a good thing. But I would still appreciate prayers because this radiation does nasty things to the body. And I appreciate all of you here. Okay, I do appreciate each and every one of you here. It means a great deal to me to have you here with me. Okay, so that's Mount Lassen. Let's go take a look at Mount Shasta, which is just north of Mount Lassen. It's a bit different. It's a bit different. This is Mount Shasta. Okay, you don't see any thick lines here. Actually, you do. Right up at the top of this, again, this is at the top line here is midnight last night. It's a fairly thick line. It's a fairly thick line, but the lines get thinner as the morning progresses here. We're seeing tremors here. We're seeing these vertical lines without dots in them. Those are steam signals. We're seeing vertical lines with curlicues. Those are steam signals as well. Some vertical lines do not have curlicues, others do. But these are steam signals here. Now, over here at just after 12 p.m. here. Okay, you see that big, huge blob of magma there? The line got a little bit thick, and we saw a tremor there as well. And that big blob of magma. Okay? You see a line going through there, a vertical line. That is an earthquake. It's at least a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake. This thick bunch of magma coming into the magma chamber fractures the rock inside the volcano, causing earth movement, earthquake. That's what's going on. And you can see these steam signals erupting at Mount Shasta. See these vertical lines here? See this big, thick, actually it's not that thick, this thick vertical line here? Guess what? It's red. Even though it's red, it's an earthquake. Even though it's red, it's an earthquake there. That's probably a 3.0 earthquake. 3.0. The top has been cut off. The bottom has also been cut off. It's at least a 3.0 earthquake. Let me raise this up further so you can see what we're talking about here. Again, we're seeing tremors here as well as the steam release from the volcano. Okay, look at that. And all of a sudden, as we progress into evening tonight, okay, this is a seismogram telling us what's going on. It shows thicker lines here. So the machine is telling us to expect more magma tonight. It's not showing us what's going on because these hours have not come yet. This time period has not come. But as we reach into the evening hours, it's showing us here an estimation of magma coming into the volcano here. Thicker lines. Thicker lines means increased magma here. Let me show you another seismogram here at Mount Shasta here. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you. Okay, now, one of the things we have here are these weird lines. Weird lines. When we had paper documents showing us a seismogram, if we had if we had these horizontal lines were anything but completely horizontal, it means the seismologist put the paper into the machine wrong. Here we're seeing slightly perpendicular lines here. Please ignore these non-conforming lines here. Please ignore the perpendicular lines. It's not true. It's not true. However, the thicker the lines, the more magma that's coming in to the magma chamber here. That is one thing you can be assured of. There's more magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Shasta. Now, as we go throughout the day, what happens? What do you think happens here? As we go up throughout the day, all of a sudden we have earthquakes. All of a sudden we have earthquakes. Look at this clump of magma here. Clump of magma happened just after 3:45 this evening. Actually, this afternoon. Okay? That's a lot of magma. And with that magma coming into the magma chamber there at Shasta, it's causing earthquakes. It's causing earthquakes. Now you see these vertical lines here. They are earthquakes caused by the magma coming into the volcanic chamber, fracturing the rock inside the volcano. Look at the width of these lines here. Look at the width of these lines. This is what's important here. I just enlarged this so you can see what I'm talking about. Notice that the top and the bottom of these lines have been cut off. The width of these lines are showing us the length of time that these earthquakes happen. Okay? 10 to 15 seconds, 40 seconds, 30 seconds. Okay? Look at that. Earthquakes at Mount Shasta caused by the magma coming into the magma chamber here. Now, we're seeing these lines topped off and bottomed off here. This is the agency not letting us see how strong these earthquakes are. But the problem is here. We have an earthquake sequence here. We have an earthquake sequence. The sequence itself lasts about 2 minutes. About maybe 2 or 3 minutes max. But with all that shaking we know for a fact it's moving. The topping off of the seismogram signals and the bottoming off of the signals tells us that these earthquakes were larger than they're showing them to be. Those earthquakes are larger than they're showing them to be. Right now they're showing us to be 2.9, 3.0 earthquakes. That means the earthquakes here at Mount Shasta are probably 3.5 earthquakes. Probably 3.5 earthquakes. And that sequence lasts nearly 2 minutes. That means there's an awful lot of magma there fracturing the rock inside the volcano. Okay? This is important to understand. We need to understand what's happening here. You have to understand what's happening here. Now I'm going to minimize this just a little bit because I want to show you these other earthquakes here. This other earthquake is just after 6:45. Again, you see a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. Then, with this particular earthquake, almost always sees red. That is the earthquake happening. It did not separate itself, but at times the other one did. This seismic shaking did not stop like the other one did earlier. This shaking didn't stop. It lasted over a minute's time period. The shaking didn't stop, it lasted over a minute's time period. That's a long time. 60 seconds. The top of the signal's been cut off here as well. The bottom of the signal's been cut off. This is at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. Hands down. Even though the agency's not letting us see this total strength of the earthquake, be advised. This earthquake signal keeps happening. And it's just as strong as the last one. Now, going over to the right, later that same time period, we had another earthquake. This one lasted over a minute. This earthquake lasted over a minute. Again, the top and the bottom of the signal has been cut off. So they definitely don't want us to see how strong this earthquake was. They've also cut off the top of the blob. Top of the magma blob. Again, they don't want us to know how strong this earthquake was. We're probably seeing another 3.5, maybe even a larger earthquake here. Maybe even a larger earthquake. Okay? We're seeing 3 major magma blobs here. Both of them cause earthquakes, cause rock fracturing inside the volcano. Earthquakes at Mount Shasta. We used to see this quite frequently over on the north side of the volcano. On the north side of the volcano. We're seeing them here. We're seeing them here right now. Now, folks, this is normal. This is absolutely, completely normal at Mount Shasta. Absolutely, completely normal at Mount Shasta. Now, this is LGY. Seismograph LGY. Here at Mount Shasta, there's another seismograph. It's called LMO on the north side of Mount Shasta. Now, they have shut this seismograph off. I believe it was because I was showing the seismogram from that particular seismograph. It was showing a lot of earthquakes. All the way from the start of the seismogram to the bottom of it. Literally earthquakes all day long. 3.0, 3.5, maybe even 4.0 earthquakes happening here at Mount Shasta every day. Every day. I still have recordings of that seismogram. I have a database I established for every program that I've ever done. Yes, YouTube took down 4 years of work. YouTube took down 4 years of work, but they can't take off my database. They didn't steal my database. I already have data here that they can't steal. I know what happened. I showed it on the air. YouTube took down 4 years of my work. 4 years of my work last year. Now, a year and a half later, after I've established this channel here that we're on, we're still seeing earthquakes. We're still seeing volcanic blasts right now. And yes, it's not a big deal yet. It's not a big deal yet, but it's going to be. I promise you it's going to be. This is happening. And it's happening in every volcano around the world. It's happening in every volcano around the world. Every volcano is recharging. To what extent it will. It doesn't have to be good sized earthquakes. It can be tremors. But every volcano is upping its ante. As I've explained lately to all of you on this channel, there's a deep magma plume down in the far South Pacific. And that deep magma plume is causing magma to race through the magma channels in the crust of the earth all throughout the earth. It's recharging all the volcanoes throughout the earth, even here in the United States. Now, as I have explained to you in past weeks and months and even the last 5.5 years, there is going to be a Cascadia megathrust earthquake. I promise you, there is going to be a Cascadia megathrust earthquake off the coast of Vancouver Island, Seattle, Tacoma, Washington area. It's going to be felt all the way up into Alaska and all the way down south to northern Mexico. You cannot have a subduction zone without volcanoes. And you cannot have volcanoes without a subduction zone. The entire west part of the Pacific, the west coast of North America, is a subduction zone. Like I said, you cannot have volcanoes without subduction, and you cannot have subduction without volcanoes. This subduction that we're seeing is a result, a direct result. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Let me back up. The volcanoes that we're seeing that are spewing steam and that have erupted are indicators of subduction. They're indicators of subduction in the area. It's going to happen here in the United States. At some point in time, we're going to have a volcanic eruption here on the west coast of North America. Right now we have one volcano, Mount Lassen, that is showing deep signs of disturbance. I showed you the steam signals. Steam signals alone does not mean that the volcano is going to erupt. But what it does show are earthquakes. Earthquakes. Magma coming into the magma chamber of these volcanoes. Earthquakes. And what happens when we have earthquake of substantial size at a volcano? At some point in time, that volcano or volcanoes are going to erupt. They're going to erupt. USGS has not given any eruptive status at Mount Lassen or Mount Shasta as of late. Yes, they had issued a yellow alert, which is a cautionary alert at Mount Hood 2.5 years ago, when there was over 128 earthquakes at Mount Hood. They said at that time that Mount Hood could possibly erupt. So they issued a yellow advisory. a cautionary advisory, which kept planes away from Mount Hood, kept balloonists away from Mount Hood, kept hikers away from Mount Hood, but it didn't last long. They lifted the eruptive status at Mount Hood within 2 days because the earthquakes calmed down. They stayed calmed down. At Mount St. Helens, we have continued to see signs of a possible eruption at Mount St. Helens for about a year now. For about a year. What do I mean about signs of a possible eruption? A lot of earthquakes. A lot of earthquakes. There have been over 300 earthquakes within the last month at Mount St. Helens. At Mount St. Helens. As those earthquakes become more and more frequent, I would think that USBS would issue another yellow advisory. I hope they do, because right now they're treading on thin ice. USBS is treading on thin ice. You can't possibly not know that. They can't possibly not know that. Okay? Don Patoga's back. He's had 8/10 of an inch of rain. 15-mile-per-hour winds. And they all went north. 663 bolts of lightning. Wow. That's a lot of lightning around Salt Lake City. That's huge. Just so you know, years ago, I did a study of tornadoes and lightning bolts. Those of you that know where Park City, Utah is. At the time, I was a preparedness manager for a resort there. I tracked tornadoes in Park City. I tracked lightning bolts in Park City. At one point in time, 1 year, they had 1,100 lightning bolts in Park City. 1,100 lightning bolts between April and October. That's a lot of lightning around Park City. And that was only in the Park City and surrounding areas, not in downtown Salt Lake City itself. So to have this many lightning bolts in Salt Lake City is a big deal. Okay? It's a huge deal. I'm glad everything's fine. Don, I'm glad you're back here. We love you, brother. We're glad you're safe. But it's early in the game. Anything can still happen. Renee Sevi says it's early in the game. You're right. It's unreal. Does anybody have any questions about Mount Lassen? We're seeing earthquakes here. We're seeing quite a few earthquakes here. Or not Lassen, but Mount Shasta here. This is Mount Shasta. Okay? Wendy says, I'm here, I'm free. Welcome, Wendy. We appreciate you here. She says she's fashionably late. So she's making a fashionable entrance. That's great. And here goes another YouTube ad here. And I got rid of the YouTube ad. Skipped it. Yeah, YouTube's also nailing me. Carl Smith says, between YouTube kicking me off chat and the ads, I can't decide which more frustrates me more. I agree. I totally got you, Carl. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any more questions about Mount Shasta here? At some point in time, Mount Shasta is going to erupt. Right now it shows some earthquakes, but not as many earthquakes as we've seen at Mount Lassen. Mount Lassen is getting kicked around a lot. We're going to see what happens. As of yet, USGS has not issued a caution advisory at Mount Lassen. But with everything that's going on, as you and I both see, all of us see, it could happen, and it could happen at any time. Okay? Arnold Smith's asking, which side of Mount Shasta are earthquakes registering from? In this case, it's registering from the south part of Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen. Okay? So far, they're not showing any activity, hardly at all, on the north side of either of the mountains. But I need to tell you something. Those seismographs that are on the north and east and west side of the mountains are off. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Those seismographs have been turned off, or they're dancing around them. They're not showing us real images. They're showing us abstract images. They're showing us trash, basically. Diane Kelman says ads are annoying. Yes, ads are annoying. Now, last week I looked into trying to get these ads to stop during our broadcast. I'm still going to further look into it. I think there is something we can do about it, but right now all we can do is dance with them for a little while. Dancing with them. Okay? Linda Covington says the Salt Lake City LDS temple got hit by lightning. That was about 19, not 19, I'm sorry. It happened back in 2018. 2018. It happened to be my mother's birthday, March 18th, 2018. It's interesting what happened now. Earthquake. Earthquake did it. The temple gets hit, all these temples get hit by lightning. Why? Because they got an angel Moroni up there. That angel Moroni is steel gilded in gold. Steel gilded in gold. That angel Moroni is a lightning rod. That angel Moroni on top of all the LDS temples is a lightning rod. But I must also tell you that not all the LDS temples have angel Moronis on them. There's only a handful of temples that do not have angel Moronis on them. But still, the top of the temples have spires. These spires are lightning bolts, and they're designed to take hits from lightning. The reason the angel Moroni got knocked off the temple in Salt Lake City was because of a 5.6 earthquake that hit just south of Salt Lake City, southwest of Salt Lake City. He got hit. Okay? That was why the angel Moroni fell off the temple. And glass breakage all over the city. And other buildings had their facades come down. Unreinforced masonry. Unreinforced masonry. That's what happens when you have earthquakes. Okay? Now, Arnold Smith says the North American plate is moving southwest. You're absolutely right. We talked about it that. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. We keep talking about that. Now, I have a map of the North American craton. Okay? The Atlantic Ocean out to the east of the United States and Canada is a plate. The Atlantic Plate. With the Mid-Atlantic Fault expanding, it's pushing the North American continent in a south-southwesterly direction. And as a result, as I've shown you, we have earthquakes on the east coast of North America, Canada, and the United States. That Mid-Atlantic Fault expansion is also pushing Africa and Europe in an easterly direction. It's pushing Iceland and Greenland and Svalbard in a south-southwesterly direction as well. It's going to split at some point in time Iceland. It's going to split Iceland in half. That's one of the reasons I believe that they've had fissures opened up in Greenvik, and fissures opened up in various other places. It's just not volcanic action. Splitting Iceland with those fissures. It's actually the expansion of the Mid-Atlantic Fault. Okay? That's what's happening. Richard Smith is saying there's a 2.1 on the island of Hawaii. There's a lot of 2.1 earthquakes on the island of Hawaii. Magma is refilling the volcanoes in Hawaii. Magma is refilling the volcanoes in Hawaii. Okay? It's happening. And it's happening every day. It's happening every day. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop, guys. At some point in time, Hawaii is going to have something happen. I know for a fact it's going to happen. I've been watching it. I've been watching it for quite some time. I think we all have. We have all been watching it for quite a long time. Okay? Let's go out here to Hawaii. Actually, before we leave to go to Hawaii, I want to show you this because this just happened here. Off the coast of Oregon here. We've had 2 earthquakes over here off the coast of Oregon here. Okay? This first earthquake here is a 2.5 earthquake. This is off the Gorda Ridge. The Gorda Ridge comes off the southern or the western part of the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment is an earthquake fault that runs west of the shore in California. Runs out into the Pacific from the shore of California. It comes out to the Pacific Ocean out here, and it runs into the Gorda Ridge here. The Gorda Ridge comes off the west side of the Gorda Escarpment and runs up north and connects with the Blanco Fracture Zone. You can see that Blanco Fracture Zone that goes from the southeast to the northwest here. Okay? Here on the Gorda Ridge, we have a 2.5 earthquake. We also have this other earthquake. This is the 3.0. This 3.0 is a small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. So this was a main quake, the 3.0. This 2.5 that you see here in red is an aftershock to the 3.0. This 3.0 is a 10-kilometer deep earthquake. 6 miles deep. 6 miles deep. This aftershock is also 10 kilometers deep. 6 miles deep. Shallow earthquakes. Shallow earthquakes. In this area, we've come to see that this is normal. This is completely normal. This is 223 kilometers west of Pistol River, Oregon. 223 kilometers west of Pistol River, Oregon. This is in the Cascadia subduction area. This is in the Cascadia subduction area. Now you can see that vertical line running along the coastline of California, Oregon, and even up into Washington State here. Okay? That is the Cascadia subduction zone. The Cascadia subduction zone. Now they are showing some earthquakes south of Mount Rainier and at Mount St. Helens. I showed you earthquakes last night here. Earthquakes last night. These earthquakes that are being shown by the USGS at these volcanoes are not completely the truth. Yes, they're having tremors there and microquakes. But as I showed you last night on the seismograms, they're also having earthquakes. They're also having earthquakes. And USGS is not showing them. For whatever the reason, they're not showing them. But the reasons don't hold water. Not showing these earthquakes and alerting the people what's going on is going to get people killed. Because people need to know what's happening. That's why we are here on the air talking about it day after day after day. Because everybody desires to know what's going on. We're trying to save lives here. If we don't talk about it, who will? Nobody. If nobody's talking about it, somebody's going to get killed. We put out the information so you can take action to save your lives and the lives of those you care about. Your friends, your neighbors, and your family. That's why we talk about it. Now, let's go out here into the middle of the Pacific and talk about what's going on in Hawaii. I took a good look at Hawaii earlier today. I take a good look at Hawaii every day. There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. If we don't keep an eye on what's going on in Hawaii, somebody's going to get hurt. Because again, the U.S. Geological Survey is not going to tell you about it. They never do. They never ever do. Okay, this is the big island. This is the island of Hawaii. Okay? The first thing I'm going to show you is where this red earthquake is. This is 1.5 miles, 3 kilometers north of Pahala. 3 kilometers north of Pahala. That's where this earthquake is. I changed the color of it to blue from red. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to zoom in here to the city of Pahala. Right there is the city of Pahala. My dear friend Laura Marie and her husband John went to their grandson's graduation here at Pahala High School. I believe this was the end of April, first part of May. Okay? That's Pahala. So this earthquake being 3 kilometers north, 1.5 miles north of Pahala, it's a 2.1 earthquake. This whole area in Pahala and around Pahala has been having earthquakes for quite some time. To the southeast of Pahala, near the shoreline of the Big Island, this is a 1.7 tremor. 1.7 tremor. Off the coast here. This is Luihi. This is a volcano called Luihi offshore of the Big Island. It has erupted in the past. It's what they call an undersea mount volcano. Today we have a 2.0 earthquake here. Just east of there we have a 2.1. And east of there we have a 2.0 as well. So we have Luihi getting hit by magma coming into the magma chamber, and we have earthquakes just off the coast of Luihi. There is a magma chamber deep in the South Pacific, deep coming from the inner parts of the core of the earth. The magma plume is carrying magma to all the volcanoes all around the earth. That's why we have earthquakes here offshore of the Big Island, because the magma is feeding the volcanoes. Feeding the volcanoes. As of late, we've been seeing an awful lot of earthquakes here in the Pahala area. Even the area you see that's kind of gray-brown here, that is still considered Pahala. Even this earthquake here, this is southeast of Kilauea, Volcano National Park. This is a 1.8 tremor. You see a lot of earthquake just southeast and east of Kilauea here. We do not see any earthquakes at Kilauea at all. But that does not mean anything. Please don't misunderstand me. Just because USBS doesn't show earthquakes at the volcanoes doesn't mean that there's no earthquakes. There are quite a few earthquakes here. But east of Kilauea, we're having earthquakes. Why? Because magma is coming up from Pahala. Magma is coming up from Pahala, supplying these underground magma chambers or magma channels with magma. That's why we're seeing these earthquakes here. This is a 3.1 small earthquake. A 3.1 small earthquake. Down by Pahala we had a 2.1, didn't we? That's a minor earthquake. A 3.1 is a small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. Okay? Southeast of that, this is a 2.0 earthquake. This is a 2.0 earthquake. This is a 1.8 tremor. This is a 2.1 earthquake. And you see all these earthquakes and tremors out here. That means the magma chamber is feeding these magma channels. It's feeding these magma channels. This is over in Fern Forest. All these earthquakes are over in Fern Forest. This is a 2.0. This is a 1.7. This is a 1.7. Right between them, this earthquake is a 1.5. It's a tremor. 1.0 to 1.9 are considered to be tremors. This is in Fern Forest. Now I have enlarged this map for you. These clouds, it seems like these clouds here are not clouds. These are lava plumes. Lava plumes. Back in 2019, when this picture was taken from a satellite, the fissures that had happened here that year, when the magma and lava left Kilauea and Pu'u'u volcanoes. For several days, no one understood where the lava went at either of those volcanoes. About 2 or 3 days later, fissures started opening up here in Fern Forest. Fissures opened up, and as you can see, lava poured out of those fissures. That lava made its way to the sea here. It added landmass to the Big Island. It added acres and acres amount to the Big Island here. But the lava didn't just stay there either. The magma continued to move north here through magma channels into Leilani Estates. These white lava plumes that you see here are remnants of fissures that had opened up. Remnants of lava that cascaded out of those fissures down the landscape of the Big Island, running all the way to the shoreline. As I stated before, the lava added acreage to the Big Island, even out here in Leilani Estates. You can see these brownish gray areas here over on the northeast side of the Big Island. That is where lava came out of the fissures and rolled down the hillside over here to Leilani Estates. The lava burned 1,500 plus homes. It didn't kill anybody. Fortunately, no deaths were reported from that eruption, but there could have been, because people got evacuated. People were evacuated from Leilani Estates. They were homeless for a time. But the state of Hawaii got money from the U.S. government. The state of Hawaii had a state of emergency. They declared a state of emergency. The governor spoke to then President Obama and asked for money. Actually, no, it wasn't either Obama, it was President Trump. President Trump from the U.S. government gave them money. The state of Hawaii helped put those people back in homes. Manufactured tiny homes for the most part. Some family members moved in with the relatives as well. It was a terrible sight. It was a state of emergency here. The governor of Hawaii declared a state of emergency. The mayor of Leilani Estates area declared an emergency, called the governor called the president, and had the place declared a state of emergency, and they were able to get dollars from the federal treasury and got help from other agencies within the federal government to help rebuild the communities. Okay? That's what happened. That's what happened. Renee Steffi says neighbors use drones to keep each other informed and safe during the eruption. I agree they did. And they did a fantastic job. Because again, the USGS didn't do it. All they said, oh, we've got an eruption. We've got a continuous eruption. That's all they did. But neighbors helping neighbors. I saw the videos. Neighbors helping neighbors. They did a wonderful job. The churches in the area also helped out. Okay, they helped out. Now, does anybody have a question about what happened in the Big Island? Just off the east or west coast of the Big Island here, we have another earthquake. This is completely different. This is a 2.0 earthquake off the west coast of the Big Island. Again, the landmass is what's going on here. Landmass is forcing that earthquake on that west side of the Big Island. Any questions about that? Rich is getting out of here. He's going to sleep. It's already 9 p.m. Holy crud. We've been on the air about 2 hours now. I didn't even get to show you what I wanted to show you. But we're going to get to that right now. Okay? Last night, President Trump went on the air. He went on X with Elon Musk. He was on the air for over 3 hours. Elon Musk interviewed President Trump. It was a great interview. I heard it all. I heard it all. It's all over the internet, all over YouTube. You can go almost anywhere and listen to the interview. Now, I recommend going over to Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson is a broadcaster on YouTube. He's very good. He covered the interview with President Trump and Elon Musk. They talked about everything under the sun. Literally, everything under the sun. Now, I want to show you some pictures from what happened. Okay? The first picture is when they first went on the air. Over 1.3 million people were on X watching and listening to the broadcast. Listening to the broadcast. 1.3 million people. It actually shut down X for a little while. The interview didn't start right when they thought it would because the number of people trying to sign in to X shut down the server. A short time later, they were able to reestablish a connection and more people showed up. A lot more people showed up. Now I'm going to show you more pictures here. A lot more people showed up. One of the things happened by the end of the night. 3 hours later. 1.3 million people showed up to hear the press, or not even a press conference. It was an interview between Elon and President Trump. By the end of the broadcast, there were 73 million people watching the broadcast. 73 million people. X did a great job. There was no buffering. There was no interruptions. Straight talk between Elon Musk and President Trump. And Elon did a great job of interviewing the president. They talked about everything under the sun. They talked about building up America again. Building up America again. They talked about World War III. They talked about the war with Russia and Ukraine. They talked about Lebanon attacking Israel. They talked about Iran attacking Israel as well. And they talked about the terrorists down in the Gaza Strip. They talked about everything. They talked about the politics of what's going on in England. What's going on all over the world. Protesters all over the world. They talked about the election this year and what is going on. For the most part, Trump is leading. Almost every notable poll that's been taken shows Trump leading at least by a little bit, or in the most part, leading by a lot. Regardless of what poll it is, Trump leads unless the poll is operated by Democrats, the Democrat Communist Party of America. In this case, what is happening? It shows Camelback leading President Trump almost across the board. That's wrong. MSNBC, CNN, Fox, CNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC. Everybody shows Trump leading except the Democrat Party. I saw a poll early this morning done by supposedly an independent news station, independent social media station. They showed Camelback and Waltz leading in primary states and leading in all the states around the nation. That's false data. It doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 polls. If they're not major polls, they're possibly lying to the public. They are possibly lying to the public. That's what they do. That is exactly what they do. Now, what is happening? What's happening? Camelback says she will fix the things if you vote her back into office. She's currently in office. Why isn't she doing something now? Yes, she's the vice president, but she's not advising Biden on what to do. She's not telling Biden to do anything. Biden is too inept to do it anyway. Biden's followers, his administrators, his government administration is calling the shots. If Camelback was any kind of leader, she would have tried to call some shots or tried to influence his administration, which she's not done. She hasn't done squat. Camelback was put in charge of the U.S. border in Texas and in California by Biden 3 years ago. I heard the press conference with Biden saying that Camelback was his border czar. I heard him say Camelback was his border czar. She has not even visited the border. Yes, she did visit Texas, but it wasn't in the capacity of a border czar. It wasn't anywhere near the border itself. She does not know what the border is. If she hasn't seen the border, she doesn't know what it is. And she has no plans of visiting the border now, even though about 2 weeks ago she said she was going to do it. 2 weeks ago. She still hasn't done squat. She traveled around the country with her vice presidential candidate, the presumptive vice presidential candidate. She's been in office 4 years and has accomplished nothing. Not a darn thing. Not a darn thing. Don Patoka says propaganda by PSYOPs. You're absolutely right, Don. Propaganda by PSYOPs. This witch of a lady is lying to the public. Yesterday I saw a video and I was not able to even take a screenshot. The video provider would not let me take a screenshot, nor would they let me air the video for you. But it was Camelback and Mr. Waltz. Mr. Waltz. Mr. Waltz being the presumptive nominee for vice president. It showed him in a building holding a press conference and a possible town hall. Behind him was a sign saying the Democrat Socialist Republic of America. The Democrat Socialist Republic of America. This is not the Democrat Socialist Republic of America. This is the United States of America. The United States of America. We are not a socialist country. We are not a communist country. This video that leaked out yesterday shows them calling it a communist party, a communist America. And it showed Waltz holding up a camera in front of them, taking a picture of her, Camelback, and him standing in front of that sign saying the Democrat Socialist America. That's an embarrassment. That is an embarrassment. Declaring that the United States is a socialist country. It is not. And we must stand up to Kamala. And now I said her name, I'm probably going to get blackballed here on YouTube. Camelback is nothing. We do not have to give her 4 more years in office. She's had 3.5 years saying that she will fix this situation if she gets elected. We cannot allow her to hold office any longer. Even though she's saying she's a black woman, she's not. She is an Indian woman. An Indian woman. 2 years ago, she had a picture taken with her sister, who is Indian, fixing a predominantly Indian dish. She's not Indian. Her father is a person from Jamaica. Not necessarily black. Just because her father came from a different country does not mean that she's black. But she is trying to hold that up there as a black woman to attract black votes. She's not black. She's from India. She is a constitutional baby. Her parents were not American citizens when she was born. They came to America and had a baby so they could stay here. That makes her an anchor baby. As an anchor baby, she's not allowed to hold the President of the United States office, even though Biden asked her to run. And the Democrat Party, as of the 16th of this month, is holding a convention in Chicago where she may be a nominee from the Democrat Communist Party for President of the United States. But it is our job to not allow her to take office. If she gains office, it will be done illegally. because as an anchor baby, she's not allowed to hold office. She's not allowed to hold office. She can't even do what President Trump did last night with Elon Musk. 3 hours. 3 hours President Trump took questions from Elon Musk. 3 hours. And President Trump answered every question. He didn't hide anything. He wasn't stammering. He wasn't stuttering. He wasn't going, oh, well, let me think about this. He wasn't, oh, well, let me get the information. He had answers for Elon Musk right there. During their conversation, he asked Elon if he would be interested in becoming an advisor to the president for economics. An economic advisor. As you know, Elon Musk is very smart. Elon Musk is also very economically smart. Elon Musk would be a very great economic advisor to President Trump. Elon Musk is awesome. Elon Musk also is supporting President Trump. Elon Musk gave his furtherance to President Trump's campaign. We're going to see more and more from Elon Musk in the future. You can count on that. Now one more thing. One more thing before we leave you here. Okay, one more thing. I've got a video for you. I've got a video for you. Excuse me, that's not it. It's right here. I want to play this video. This is off X. Camelback's vice presidential nominee has been the Minnesota governor. Back in 2020, during the height of the COVID fiasco, there was a shooting in Minnesota. George Floyd got murdered. And the riots in the street in Minneapolis. Riots all over the United States. I want to play you this video here. It's only a short video of maybe about a minute. At the end of the video, I'm going to try to stop it before there's curse words. Somebody got hit with paintballs. Minnesota Governor Walz ordered the police in Minneapolis to fire paintball shots at private citizens that were on their own property. They were on balconies and patios in front of their homes. Walz called for a curfew from 7 p.m. until 6 a.m. every day. Nobody could be outside of their house. So Walz ordered police and National Guard troops to shoot at private citizens with paintballs. This is what happened.
No, there's more. Look at this. They just keep coming.
Oh, go inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go!
Watch the police open fire.
Go inside now! Get in the house!
Okay, I'm stopping it because there's some swear words here from some people got hit with paintball that was launched by the police and National Guard troops. Never before have American citizens got fired upon by National Guard troops. It should never have happened. It should never have happened. It doesn't matter whether it's live ammunition or paintballs. It should never have happened. But yet it did. You saw it. You saw the paintballs exploding. Unreal. That's what happens when you have a tyrant in charge. He could have ordered the police to have a curfew established within the city. He didn't have to have his police and National Guard troops open up on American citizens, striking them with paintballs on their patios and their porches. That's what happened in 2020 at the height of the COVID thing, when George Floyd got hit by and killed by a police officer. And that police officer's in prison now. He didn't have to be in prison. He was defending himself. It's proven that he was defending himself. He should not have been in prison. But because of political strife, he was put in prison. He will be in prison for the rest of his life. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Heidi Petrick is saying, has anyone been charged with assault? No. No, they have not. The only one that was charged with assault is a police officer that shot and killed George Floyd, because George Floyd came at him. Came at him and tried to take his weapon while he was sitting in a police car. That's what happens when you have a communist in charge. That's what happens. Okay? I want to show you that. That is what we have running against President Trump and J.D. Vance. Both of them are dictators. Both of them are tyrants. Both of them are communist members. They've even said that personally. When I see another video, I will come forth with that video and let you see it and hear it. Linda Covington says he was also attacked with a knife. I believe you're right. I believe you're right. Needless to say, it didn't have to happen, but it did. I'm glad I wasn't a police officer in Minnesota or anywhere in Minneapolis, because I would have violated the law. I would not have come out with, well, I would have come out with the police because the police are fellow officers. But I would not have allowed the police officers to shoot. At the time I retired, I was a sergeant. I was a corporal at one point in time. I was still an active member of management within my police department. I would not have allowed that to happen. Even though the governor had already told the police to arm themselves with paintballs, I would not have allowed that to happen if I had been in that police department. It happened illegally. It happened illegally. And it was vile, and as Penny says, it was despicable. I agree. That is who we have running on the Democrat side, the Democrat communist side of politics here in the United States today. It's a sad day in the country. It's a sad day for all of our citizens around the world. Not just U.S. citizens, but citizens of countries such as Wales, England, Scotland, Ireland, Switzerland, Germany, Austria, France, Australia, New Zealand, all the countries of South America and Canada, and Japan. Our countries have been run over by illegal aliens. I'm going to call a spade a spade. Illegals from every country in this world have overrun our country. All of them. Illegals come from every country in the world. These countries have emptied their prisoners and allowed them to come to our countries. England is having its own problems right now. If you're an American citizen or a British citizen in England right now, if you post anything on the internet at all, if you post anything that's conservative on the internet at all, England police are arresting you. English police are arresting you. You're going to go to jail. Freedom of speech has gone out the door. And I believe between now and November 5th, freedom of speech may disappear here in the United States as well. Because the administration has not gotten rid of Joe Biden. Joe Biden and his administration, regardless of whether he is or isn't in charge at all, they're going to take our freedom of speech away here in the U.S. as well. We cannot let this happen. Demon Catman's in England says incitement only. Yeah. Things are ramping up all over the world because we have allowed our countries to be overrun by these illegal criminals. Yes, criminals. Prisoners from all over the world have immigrated to our countries illegally. It's planned. It's planned. It's violent eruption from political bases all over the country, all over the world. And right now it's not going to stop unless we take a stand against it. We have to. Don Patuka says that's why we became America. We have to take a stand just like our forefathers did. We cannot allow this to continue. We absolutely cannot let it continue. We must have free and fair elections. That didn't happen in Venezuela recently. It's not happening anymore. The United States of America has become a third world country. A third world country. It started with Obama in 2008. He said he was going to transform America. He started turning this country upside down. Yes, Trump took over for 4 years. Look what they did try to do to him. Impeached him twice. The second time it didn't work. The first time was a joke. Then they tried, he beat the impeachments and stayed in power. They tried to prosecute him for crimes that he didn't commit. Most of those cases have been thrown out. There's still a case against him where he was convicted of 34 felony counts. He's supposedly supposed to be sentenced by a New York judge in September. Will that sentence fly? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But if these socialist communists take over, President Trump and the rest of us are screwed. We cannot let it happen. Back in July, they tried to kill the president. They tried to kill President Trump. That didn't work. That didn't work. The shooter missed. President Trump was shot in the air. He dropped to the floor of that reviewing stand where he was speaking. Right in front of him was a great big huge steel plate. All the public saw was political bunting, red, white, and blue bunting. Behind it was a steel plate to help President Trump or anyone else at the podium from being killed. He dropped down below that steel plate for protection as rounds flew over his head. The Secret Service piled all over him, protecting him. He got off from that and raised his fist in the air as Secret Service still tried to protect him and get him out of there. As I've spoken about before, this was a political assassination attempt. I believe it came from our Attorney General and Biden. I believe the Biden administration ordered the Attorney General to carry it out. The FBI, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security is responsible for what happened. The investigation that the FBI supposedly is doing is corrupt. There is not going to be an adequate investigation. there's not going to be an adequate investigation. The acting director of the Secret Service is lying to the public as well, and lying to Congress. He should be arrested. The head of the FBI, Mr. Wray, should be arrested. Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, should be arrested. They are all responsible for what has happened. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. This was a political assassination attempt. There has been other attempts made on the president, including a verbal attack from Iran. There are other assassination attempts that the Secret Service supposedly is trying to stop. I don't believe it's going to be the only one to happen. Okay? Plain and simple. I have not talked about politics in a very long time. As we approach November, you can darn well better believe my mouth will be open. I'm going to tell it like it is. I will most assuredly tell it like it is. They cannot silence me. I will be all over the internet, all over social media. Okay? I'm trying to get hold of people now to bring them in to interview people to let you know what's going on. We're going to do more and more of that. Folks, I love each and every one of you. The reason I'm being so adamant about what we're doing and talking like I'm doing is because I am one fed up American. I am one fed up American, and we will not let it stand. I promise you, we will not let this go. We will not go out into the fields and shut up. Our voices will be heard. Our voices will come out of the wilderness, and we will be heard. Now, for those of you that are still here, I have a message for you. I care about you. Our Savior cares about you. He loves each and every one of you. I'm here to tell you about it, because I know He does. Now, He came to this earth for a reason. He sacrificed His life for us. He stood as an example for us from the very time He was born throughout His life. First seen in the temples at age 14, talking to the Sumerians, talking to attorneys, talking to chief priests in the temples. Not just being educated by them, but educating them. Jesus Christ was teaching the high priest in the temple the gospel from His Father. From the time He was in the temples, He was doing what He was asked to be doing. He proved who He was, the Lord Jesus Christ. Before He was slain, He had His 12 apostles. He asked them to come with Him to a room to have the Last Supper. What happened? I'm going to relate part of the story here with you. I'm going over to the first chapter of John. I'm wanting to start here with John chapter 1, verse 35. And we're going further than that. In verse 35, again the next day after John stood, and two of his disciples, and looking upon Jesus as He walked, He saith, Behold the Lamb of God. And the 2 disciples heard him speak, and they followed Jesus. Then Jesus turned and saw them following, and saith unto them, What seek ye? They said unto him, Rabbi, which is to say, being interpreted, Master, where dwellest thou? He said unto them, Come and see. They came and saw where he dwelt, and abode with them that day, for it was about the 10th hour. Jesus Christ knew his disciples, and they knew him. They knew him as the Lord Jesus Christ. Then, something else happened here. Going over to verse 48. Nathanael said unto him, Whence knowest thou me? Jesus answered and said unto him, Before that Philip called thee, when thou wast under the fig tree, I saw thee. Nathanael answered and saith unto him, Rabbi, thou art the Son of God. Thou art the King of Israel. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Behold, I said unto thee, I saw thee under the fig tree. Believest thou? Thou shalt see greater things than these. And he saith unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter ye shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. The disciples, the 12 apostles, knew who Jesus was. A lot of people, including Christ's family, knew who he was. The Son of God, even Jesus Christ. They knew who he was. Later betrayed by Judas at the Last Supper. Judas left the Last Supper in disgust because he knew he betrayed the Savior. He knew. What did Peter do when Pilate asked him why he was following Christ and if he knew Christ? Prior to that, Peter said he knew him and would never betray him. And yet Peter, the chief apostle, said, I don't know him. He also betrayed Jesus Christ. Unreal. Brothers and sisters, we came here for a reason. We are allowed to come from heaven to experience earth life. We promised our Savior and our Heavenly Father that if we were allowed to come here and experience earth life, we would try to find Jesus Christ again and follow his commandments, and thus return back to heaven again to live with our Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ forever. That was our promise to him. Brothers and sisters, it's our obligation to do what's right. It's our obligation as servants in the Lord's kingdom here on this earth to obey the Lord's commandments. It's imperative that we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with our family, our extended family, our neighbors, and our friends. Just like I've asked you to do with our channel here. To share it with your family, your extended family, your neighbors, your friends, your social media contacts, even the people you work with. There is nothing here that you should be ashamed of. Stand up for truth. Stand up for righteousness' sake. That's where we're at. That is exactly where we're at. We need to stand up and save our countries. America. America is supposed to be the most cherished country of all the world. Christ said that. And that he would spare America if there was even one righteous person left. Just like he spared other people. Just like he spared other people. If there was but one righteous person left, they would be spared. Brothers and sisters, it is up to us to stand up for righteousness. It's up to us to stand up for Jesus Christ. It's up to us to save our countries. If we don't do it, nobody's going to, and our countries will fall. You think our freedom of speech is gone? You just wait to see what happens in the next couple months. Camelback Harris has promised to go after the guns. England and Australia have lost the guns. All of a sudden, we've been cut off by YouTube. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I hope we're still on the air. Brothers and sisters, I know YouTube doesn't like what we've done, what I've said, but I don't give a flying rat's butt. I don't give a flying rat's butt. We need to stand by Jesus Christ. We need to stand by righteous political men and righteous political women as well. We need to get rid of the communists in our countries. We need to put them in prison and keep them there forever and ever. They should never see the light of day outside of prison. Brothers and sisters, I testify that I know the gospel of Jesus Christ is true. I know the things that we stated tonight are true. 100% true. I am thankful for all of you supporting this channel. I'm thankful for all of you with your contributions to Super Chat, your contributions to our PayPal that we have here. We haven't received any PayPal donations in a short while. I'm hoping that continues though. I'm thankful for S. Nort and our dear friend Jane for supporting us today with these letters that you guys have sent. I appreciate all of you here. I ask the Lord to bless you. I wish the Lord would bless you and take care of you. I love each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you. Heidi Petrick is asking, can Elon be trusted? I think he can. At this point, I think he can. Folks, I love you. I have borne my testimony to you that the gospel of Jesus Christ is true. We need to save our countries. We need to stand up for what is true. Stand up for righteousness. Otherwise, we're done. Juvie Joe says, I am broke but not broken. I agree. Juvie Joe, thank you for being here. I love you and appreciate you as well. I appreciate our mods. I want to give a special thanks to our mods here. I love each and every one of you. I love all of our EMA family. I'm standing with you. I'm always going to stand with you. I will stand next to you till I die. I will stand next to you until I can't breathe any longer. I care about you. I care about you. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to get out of here now, but not without before saying that if anything else happens tonight, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Always. Always and forever. That's the long and short of it. Always and forever. I'm not going to stop. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we can meet again. We will see you on the other side, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow evening sometime after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. See you soon. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.